The story begins with Kang Tae-moo, the main character, arriving at the airport. As he walks through the terminal, nearly every woman who sees him is left spellbound, some even looking like they might faint from his charm. To be honest, Kang Tae-moo is easily one of the top 10 cutest men on the planet. He's exceptionally laid back and has a quirky habit of proudly running his hand over his head. It turns out that Kang Tae-moo is the grandson of Chairman Kang Deku of Go Food Company in Korea, and he has just returned from the States. A ceremony was organized to inaugurate him as the new president of the company, and everyone looked forward to seeing their new leader. Rumors had it that he was a workaholic and exceptionally handsome, so the women were especially curious to see him. However, to everyone's disappointment, Kang Tae-moo didn't show up, but instead sent his chief secretary, Cha Sung-hoon, to deliver a short address on his behalf, indicating he wasn't even interested in the inauguration ceremony. This annoyed his grandfather, who left the hall immediately. In the company, the Food Product Development Team 1 research group consists of Ms. Yo, the supervisor, Ms. Shin Ha-ri, the newly hired member, Mr. Gai Bin, and Ms. Kim. It's Shin Ha-ri's birthday that day, and Ms. Yo has made reservations for a team dinner to celebrate. Shin Ha-ri is thrilled, but her mood is altered when she receives a message from an anonymous person asking her to come by because he has something for her. She informs Ms. Yo about it, and they decide to go without her. Finally, Kang Tae-moo meets with his grandfather. Initially, he's shocked, as he didn't expect to see him at that time. His grandfather is annoyed with him for missing the inauguration ceremony and expresses his frustration by hitting him with his rod. He laments how Tae-moo is perpetually busy with work and never considers taking a day off. Tae-moo proudly talks about how he has never failed a project and has always done an outstanding job, to which his grandfather unarguably agrees. In a serious tone, he reveals that he has prepared a significant project for him. Hearing this, President Kang becomes interested and inquires about the project. After a few seconds of silence, Chairman Kang finally reveals that it's marriage. President Kang's expression shows that he is utterly disappointed and uninterested in such a topic, but his grandfather insists he must get married because he's getting old and wants to see his grandson settle down. Surprisingly, his grandfather has arranged blind dates with 20 elite single ladies in the business world for him to meet. President Kang bluntly tells him he's not going for any of the dates. Soon, Shin Ha-ri finally met up with the anonymous caller, Lee Min-woo, a chef and her close friend. As he emerged from the kitchen, carrying a cake, Shin Ha-ri stood still, her mind racing with thoughts. She heard her friend's voice in her head, teasing that Min-woo was about to transfer from the friendship train to the boyfriend express. Overwhelmed, she realized she had been waiting for this moment for years. Meanwhile, Min-woo, unaware of her presence, smiled as he admired the cake he was holding. The voice in her head grew louder, urging her to run to him and give him a hug already. Without thinking, Hari rushed toward him, her heart pounding with excitement. However, just as she was about to embrace him, she noticed the cake was meant for a couple celebrating their 100th day anniversary. Unfortunately, it was too late. She collided with the cake, sending it crumbling to the floor instead of giving the hug she had imagined. Flustered, she quickly apologized for ruining the cake while they cleaned up. But Min-woo, unfazed, simply smiled. As Hari prepared to leave, Min-woo handed her a birthday card, wishing her a happy birthday. To her surprise, inside was a ticket to her favorite singer's concert, except he suggested that she go with a guy. Though she wasn't entirely happy about it, she forced a smile. Later, Tae-moo has breakfast with his grandfather, who inquires why he wants to fire one of their long-term staff, Mr. Park. Kang Tae-moo explains Mr. Park's illegal acts and insists he must be terminated. His grandfather takes advantage of the situation by asking him to go on the prearranged dates in return. Seeing he has no choice, Tae-moo agrees, which excites his grandfather. Shin Ha-ri and her best friend, Jin Young-seo, hang out, and Ha-ri recounts her ordeal with Min-woo, causing Young-seo to nearly burst with laughter. During their time together, Young-seo receives a call from her father and is visibly angry afterwards. Her father has asked her to go on blind dates like he once did, leaving her frustrated. As they both walk home, she mentions to Hari that she didn't remember to ask who the date was because she never planned to have an arranged marriage, preferring love through fate. Young-seo persuades Hari to help her ruin the date like she did last time, offering to pay her. Considering her debt, Hari agrees to go in her place. When Hari arrived for the date standing in for Young-seo, she looked absolutely stunning and elegant, almost unrecognizable as herself. She was fully prepared to step into her role. As she turned, she found her date standing right behind her, and when their eyes met, she couldn't deny how strikingly handsome he was. Quickly gathering her composure, she offered him a seat. As they exchanged business cards, Hari's heart nearly stopped when she discovered her date was none other than President Kang Tae-moo, the head of her company. Shocked, she barely held herself together before excusing herself to the restroom. Initially, she wanted to run away, but with an 800,000 won debt hanging over her, she knew she had no choice but to return and follow through. Determined to make him lose interest, she started behaving in an over-the-top manner, revealing more skin while claiming that men dislike women who expose too much, and acting deliberately obnoxious to irritate him. However, to her frustration, Tae-moo found her straightforwardness preferable to hypocrisy. Realizing her tactics weren't working, she decided to go all out and proposed that they get a room, assuming such a bold move would surely turn him off. Unexpectedly, he agreed and booked a room at the hotel. Stunned, she followed behind him, her mind spinning at the thought of what might happen if she actually went through with it. Just as panic set in, she decided to make a run for it. However, as she turned to flee, she accidentally bumped into a woman who suddenly accused her of having an affair with her man. Chaos ensued, but somehow, Hari managed to escape, running for her life before things could get any worse. Tae-moo, now in his car with Chief Secretary Cha Sung-hoon, narrates the date events. Despite Hari saying she likes men a lot, he seems intrigued by her. Just then, his grandfather calls to inquire about the date. To everyone's shock, Tae-moo tells his grandfather he's going to marry the disguised Young Seo. His chief secretary is so taken aback that he stops the car immediately. Meanwhile, as the two ladies celebrate ruining the date, Young Seo receives a call from her father. Their joy abruptly ends as he informs her that Tae-moo intends to marry her. She tells Hari, sensing trouble on the horizon. Kang Tae-moo's swift decision worries his grandfather, who calls Sung-hoon to confirm the accuracy. He shares how he lost his parents young and was too occupied to be present for Tae-moo as a grandfather. He wishes for Tae-moo to start a family, advising Sung-hoon to find a girlfriend too and introduce her to him. Later, Young Seo visits the mall to shop. There she encounters a child who smears ink on her clothes, but Young Seo remains kind. Sung-hoon, impressed by her interaction with the child, observes her. They exit separately, but Young Seo realizes she's left her car keys and wallet. As she moves to retrieve them, she bumps into Sung-hoon, and her drink falls off her hand. Sung-hoon picks it up for her, and they share a long, meaningful gaze. For Young Seo, it's love at first sight. She then receives a call, informing her that Kang Tae-moo wishes to see her again, prompting her to relay this to Hari. Reluctantly, Hari agrees to meet Kang Tae-moo again on her friend's behalf. She heads to the meeting place, close to Min-woo's restaurant, feeling uneasy. When Tae-moo arrives, he calls out for her, but Shin-hari, engrossed in her phone, ignores him, using Young Seo's phone. Tae-moo realizes she has two phones, takes hers, and dials his number on it. Hari feels frustrated with this intrusion. She bluntly tells him she's not interested in marrying him and stands up to leave. As she was walking home, she noticed Min-woo returning from his restaurant. To avoid being seen, she quickly ran towards a nearby parked car and slipped inside without checking. To her surprise, it was Kang Tae-moo's car. Tae-moo asked her why she was unwilling to marry him, as he never imagined anyone would reject him despite his looks. Frustrated, Hari told him she disliked everything about him, mentioning that his face reminded her of an Archaeopteryx. Tae-moo, unfamiliar with the reference, was shown a picture by Sung-hoon. Later, Tae-moo received a message from Young Seo, expressing her desire to meet with him. Young Seo had previously decided with Hari that the best course of action was to reveal the truth. Hari was hired through an agency and was a complete stranger to her. The next day, while the members of Research Group Team 1 were chatting, Mr. Gaibin was his usual playful self. Hari noticed Ms. Kim, her colleague, answering a call from her friend Min-woo. Excitedly, Ms. Kim asked Ms. Yo for permission to step out to meet him. This made Hari uneasy, prompting her to follow Ms. Kim. She saw Min-woo and Ms. Kim sitting together and felt bad about it. She wondered why they exchanged gifts after only meeting a few times during team dinners. When Min-woo stood to leave, Hari quickly hid her face. On her way back to her office, she accidentally bumped into President Kang Tae-moo and Sung-hoon. Panicking, she turned and ran off, not paying attention, causing her slipper to fly off her foot and hit Tae-moo on the forehead. She fell to the ground as well. Confused, Tae-moo picked up the slipper, wondering who had thrown it. Spotting Hari on the ground, he started bleeding but gave chase when Hari fled. Hari tried to escape via the elevator, but Tae-moo caught up with her. He questioned her about the slipper-throwing incident, and she apologized, explaining it was a mistake. Returning to her office, Hari discovered that Ms. Kim had texted Minwoo first and bought him gifts, which he politely returned and declined. Later, Young Seo finally met with Tae-moo, confessing that the initial Young Seo was a fake, hired through an agency to play a role. She pleaded for him to cancel the marriage proposal, but he refused unless she presented the fake Young Seo to him. The following morning, Young Seo visited Hari at home, assuring her that their troubles with Tae-moo were over. She suggested they go out shopping and visit a high-profile salon for some pampering. At a restaurant, Young Seo's expression became suspicious as she revealed that Tae-moo was coming because he realized the two were friends and wanted to meet Hari. Infuriated, Hari reprimanded Young Seo for not warning her. Young Seo handed Hari a wig and ran off. As Hari prepared to leave, she accidentally bumped into Tae-moo, leaving her no choice but to put on the wig. In her haste, her bag spilled its contents on the floor. As Tae-moo approached, he picked up a fried chicken shop card. Hari admitted her family owned the shop and confessed she was paid 800,000 won to act the role, apologizing for wasting his time. Tae-moo called Hari again, instructing her to save his number and always answer his calls, threatening to find her through the card if she didn't comply. When he asked for her real name, she panicked and lied, saying it was Gaeum Hui, fearing he might recognize her later. Meanwhile, she saved his contact under the name Archaeopteryx, much to his annoyance. Tae-moo's grandfather scheduled 10 blind dates for him in a single day, as if trying to set a record for the most dates in the shortest time. To make matters worse, he even arranged an 11th in Japan. However, none of the women interested Tae-moo. Instead, they left him completely exhausted. At that moment, his nose started bleeding again, a clear sign of his stress. Despite this, his grandfather was far from giving up. He went as far as threatening to arrange an entire year's worth of eligible women for Tae-moo to meet. Realizing how determined his grandfather was, Tae-moo made a bold declaration. He already had someone he wanted to marry. He explained that they had only broken up temporarily due to a fight, but Sung-hoon had helped them reconcile. To convince his grandfather, he promised to set up a meeting with her soon. Though skeptical, his grandfather was pleased to hear this. Once he left, Sung-hoon expressed his concern, but Tae-moo remained calm, assuring him that the person responsible would handle the situation. Without wasting any time, he called Hari and asked to meet again. As they came face to face, Tae-moo proposed that they start dating with marriage in mind to appease his grandfather. Hari immediately felt uneasy, but Tae-moo smiled and reassured her that he wasn't asking for a real relationship. She only had to pretend. Not wanting to get into more trouble, Hari refused at first. However, Tae-moo was persistent, making a compelling argument and offering to pay her double the 800,000 won for every meeting with his grandfather. She thought it over, realizing this could be her chance to finally clear her family's debts. But despite the tempting offer, she hesitated, knowing that Tae-moo was also her company's president. That night, Tae-moo arrived at Hari's house and parked outside. Hari applied makeup and wore sunglasses before meeting him. Tae-moo presented a draft contract, urging her to memorize his profile before meeting his grandfather. However, Hari refused and stepped out of the car. Tae-moo followed, demanding an explanation. During their argument, Hari's brother approached. Panicking, Hari pushed Tae-moo away. As they both stumbled, they fell into the garden, landing face to face, their lips accidentally meeting. They stared at each other for a while, then Shin-hari came back to her senses and apologized to him. She looked out to check if her brother was gone, but he had not yet left. In a rush to lay low, she accidentally knocked heads with Tae-moo again, rendering him unconscious. Thinking quickly, Tae-moo threatened her to sign the drafted contract, or he would file a lawsuit for the damages she caused while he was knocked out. Overwhelmed and without any other options, she hastily agreed to sign the contract. She was also instructed to memorize a backstory about him and herself, so it would seem convincing to his grandfather. Any mistakes would cost her 100 times the amount he promised to pay her. Shin-hari was immersed in studying the backstory of Kang Tae-moo and was already stressed about it. Her friend Young Seo felt really bad for her, but Shin had no choice. She narrated to young Seo how smart Tae-moo was in everything he did, but his parents had passed away in an accident when he was young. Young Seo's father, Chairman Jin, who had been abroad for some time, had finally returned. That morning, he quietly sat for breakfast with his only daughter, whom he called his heiress. Breaking the silence, he told her he wanted her to go on another blind date the following week. This time, internationally. Young Seo immediately declined, reminding her father of his own unhappy arranged marriage, which had ended in divorce. She firmly refused to walk down the same path and insisted that she would not marry unless it was for love. Annoyed by her defiance, her father told her that if she wanted to continue living as she pleased, she should move out. Knowing well that her father never went back on his words, young Seo agreed to leave. As she was moving out, Chairman Jin made one final demand. She had to return his credit card if she truly wanted to be independent. Though reluctant, she handed it over, and at that moment, her father almost regretted his decision. The Team 1 research department was tasked with finding a chef to collaborate with the company, but they couldn't meet President Kang's expectations. Then Ms. Yo proposed recommending Chef Lee Min-woo, a friend of Shin Ha-ri. Everyone agreed except Mr. Gai-bin, who voiced concerns about Min-woo looking like a womanizer. Despite this, Min-woo was chosen, and Shin Ha-ri was thrilled. All night, Hari stayed awake preparing the recommendation document for Min-woo, falling asleep while doing so. Fortunately, she was able to complete it and submitted it the next morning. Ms. Yo was surprised by her efficiency. Impressed, Ms. Yo requested her to present Min-woo's profile to President Kang. Hari refused immediately, afraid Tae-moo might recognize her, but Ms. Yo insisted. Wearing a nose mask during the presentation at the board meeting, Hari found it hard to communicate. President Kang asked her to remove the mask, but she lied about having a cold. Fortunately, Tae-moo let her continue. After the presentation and the end of the workday, a cheerful Hari made her way to Min-woo's restaurant. Upon entering, she couldn't find him at first, so she walked toward the kitchen. That was when she saw him, laughing and enjoying a moment with a woman. Before she could process it, they kissed. Shocked, the file in her hands slipped to the floor, but she quickly bent down to pick it up. Min-woo and the woman noticed her presence and moved closer. It turned out that the woman was Yu-ra, Min-woo's longtime girlfriend. Holding back her emotions, Hari quickly excused herself, pretending she was already leaving. Without waiting for a response, she turned and ran off. As she waited for her bus, a deep sadness settled over her. Just then, she received a message from Min-woo apologizing for never telling her about Yu-ra. Shin couldn't help but reflect. She had always known that Min-woo had eyes for Yu-ra, yet she had chosen to stay by his side, hoping that one day he might look at her differently. Even though Yu-ra had once broken up with him, she had still wished for something more. Her bus finally arrived, and she reluctantly walked toward it. But before she could board, a man in a hurry bumped into her, knocking her down. Her phone and the scattered papers from her file fell to the ground. Unfortunately, by the time she had gathered her things, the bus had already left. As she tried to collect herself, another misfortune struck. Her phone slipped from her hands and fell into the drain. Just then, a little girl approached her and gently told her, "Be careful, that might have hurt." The word hurt pierced through her heart, and all the emotions she had been holding back came crashing down. Unable to stop herself, she broke into tears, crying like a child. Unbeknownst to her, Kang Tae-moo had just called at that moment. Though she never manually picked up the call, the phone had already connected when it fell, allowing him to hear her sobs, leaving him wondering what had happened to her. Hari eventually met Tae-moo's grandfather. He appeared stiff initially, likely due to her appearance, but warmed up after a long conversation. Young Seo finally found an apartment, unknowingly next door to Sung-hoon, whom she had feelings for at first sight. The chairman invited Shin Ha-ri to have steamed buns with him, and she happily accepted. Apologizing for his initial coldness, he quickly warmed up to her, and they began to enjoy each other's company. As she struggled with the hot tea, she accidentally hit her bag, and it fell off, making her things scatter on the floor. The chairman kindly helped her pick them up, and in the process, he found a concert ticket, Min-woo's birthday gift to Hari. Mistakenly assuming she had planned to attend the concert with Kang Tae-moo, he firmly insisted that they must go together instead. Young Seo had finally settled into her new apartment and felt completely at ease, until she spotted a cockroach while trying to eat. Terrified, she bolted outside and, without realizing it, jumped into Sung-hoon's arms. When she looked up, she was startled to see him and quickly pulled away. Embarrassed but desperate, She begged him to come inside and help her get rid of the cockroach. However, she soon discovered that Sung-hoon was just as afraid as she was, as he emptied an entire can of spray just to kill a single insect. After the ordeal, young Seo, seeing that they were now neighbors, suggested they become friends. However, Sung-hoon flatly declined, still holding a grudge over what she had done to President Kang by sending someone else to his blind date. In an unexpected turn, the chairman personally dropped off the fake couple at the concert venue, unsure whether his grandson would actually attend. Wanting to be certain, he stayed behind, discreetly watching them enter and refusing to leave until the concert began. As the show started, the audience became engrossed in the music. Midway through, the band announced they would take 2 song requests, each accompanied by a special story from an audience member. To Hari's surprise, one of the requests read aloud was from Min-woo. In his message, Min-woo shared how he had bought the tickets as a birthday gift for his best friend of 7 years, hoping she would attend with a boyfriend since she didn't have one. To make matters worse, he included a detailed description of her seat, making it clear to everyone in the venue that Hari was the person he was referring to. With no way to escape, she had no choice but to raise her hand. Seeing President Kang Tae-moo seated beside her, the crowd assumed Min-woo's wish had come true, and the band dedicated a love song to them. As the music played, memories of her college days with Min-woo flooded her mind, stirring emotions she had buried for years. Overcome with sadness, Hari wept uncontrollably. In an unexpected gesture, Tae-moo offered her a handkerchief. Hari resolved to accept rejection gracefully, since Min-woo reconciled with his ex-girlfriend Yu-ra and concluded the chapter cleanly. Sung-hoon visited Kang Tae-moo's home and entered his room. The two had breakfast with Chairman Kang, and Kang Tae-moo discovered it was his 1-year anniversary with his supposed girlfriend, Jum-hwe. He had forgotten this, and his grandfather got upset, claiming he was too addicted to work. He insisted Tae-moo must cancel all his plans and schedule a date with Geum-hwe. Chairman Kang even offered to make a reservation for them. Shin Hari and her team were having a filming research session on a farm. Mr. Gaibin was finding it difficult to deliver his lines perfectly, which frustrated everyone as he was camera shy. Hari tried to encourage him, and they tried again. This time, he threw the food item they were passing so high that Hari had to jump to catch it and then fell to the ground. Unexpectedly, Chairman Kang showed up at the shooting location and commended her for the nice catch. On seeing him, Hari began to panic, thinking he might recognize her as Jum-hwe. Afterwards, Chairman Kang sat with Ms. Yo to discuss how things were going with her team, and a phone began to ring. It turned out to be Hari's phone, so Ms. Yo summoned her to come and get it. Hari became terrified and tried to hide her face, causing everyone there to think she was crazy. Funny enough, the caller was Kang Tae-moo, whose name she had saved as Archaeopteryx. After collecting her phone, she hurried to the restroom without thanking the chairman. Chairman Kang and Ms. Yo continued their discussion. Suddenly, Chairman Kang began to sweat uncontrollably and needed to use the restroom urgently. Mr. Gaibin led him to the restroom, only to find out that Hari was inside. Knowing it was her, he told her to hurry and come out. After saying that, he left immediately. Hari came out only to find Chairman Kang there. Without hesitation, she went back inside and shut the door. The chairman urged her to come out, but she wouldn't until he forced the door open. When the door opened, he staggered and lost his balance. Hari wanted to help, but, remembering he might recognize her, decided against it, causing the chairman to fall into a bowl of cold water. Mr. Gaibin came to his rescue, wondering how he ended up like that, and lent him some trousers to wear. Chairman Kang decided to leave immediately. They apologized to him, and he pointed his finger angrily at Hari, while she bowed and covered her face with her hair, making her appear ghostly. The day of the anniversary finally arrived, and Kang Tae-moo picked up Hari, his fake girlfriend. First, they went shopping for a dress for Hari. She tried on different dresses, but Kang Tae-moo didn't like them until she wore a white jacket and skirt. His expression showed that she looked stunning, and he stared at her for a long time before standing up to say he liked it. Hari felt a bit uncomfortable in the dress because it was tight, but it was the only one available. They went to a restaurant owned by Chairman Kang for their date and had the best meal in the country. Just then, Hari's bag fell to the ground again. As she stood up, Tae-moo stood up too to help her with it. As she bent down, her clothes ripped, and coincidentally, the staff at the restaurant approached them to deliver a cake and flowers for their anniversary. Unexpectedly, Kang Tae-moo quickly moved behind her to cover her and help her stand up, which was quite romantic, and they blew out the candle on the cake together. As Tae-moo drove back home with a cheerful smile, he noticed Hari had forgotten her wallet in the car. He decided to return it to her, possibly to see her pretty face once again. He drove and parked right in front of her house. He tried calling her, but her number wasn't available, so he got out of the car. Surprisingly, he saw Lee Min-woo exchanging pleasantries with her, which confused him. He then opened the wallet and saw Hari's national ID card. He called her number again, and this time, she picked up. Shin Hari's brother found her wallet in front of the store and returned it to her. Meanwhile, Kang Tae-moo rushed back to his office to check out Hari's profile, discovering that she had been right under his nose all along, and that he had actually gone on a date with one of his employees. Naturally, he was furious. He decided he would make Hari pay for deceiving him and demanded that she redo the ravioli she had initially made successfully, claiming the cost was too high. Sung-hoon noticed that Tae-moo was treating Hari emotionally, which was very unlike him. Tae-moo then revealed to Sung-hoon that Shin was the elusive Geum-hwee, his fake girlfriend, which shocked Sung-hoon as well. Despite the confusion, Shin Hari kept making the ravioli over and over, with Tae-moo continuing to reject it, sometimes without even tasting it, until she was almost out of patience. When Hari and Tae-moo met again, he informed her that he wanted her to attend the founding anniversary of his company so she could meet his grandfather once more. She tried various strategies to avoid attending, but Tae-moo wouldn't accept any of her excuses, except that she would pay the penalty fine if she didn't show. The following day, Hari was informed by her colleagues that she would be receiving an award on the foundation anniversary day, and they celebrated her. Inside, she was conflicted, knowing she was in trouble and unsure how she would handle attending the event as both an award-winning employee and Tae-moo's fake girlfriend. To complicate matters further, her family was also invited to the ceremony. Faced with this dilemma, Hari decided she would rather pay the penalty fee than attend the ceremony as Tae-moo's fake girlfriend. She called Kang Tae-moo on the phone to inform him of her decision. That night, she became extremely drunk and fell off a swing while on the call with Tae-moo. He became very worried when her number was unavailable and drove to her neighborhood to look for her. After some time, he found her lying helplessly on the swing. He approached her and helped her up. At first, Shin Hari couldn't believe her eyes and thought she was dreaming because she couldn't imagine Tae-moo coming to take care of her like that. Believing it was a dream, she confessed that she was Shin Hari and had been acting as Geum-hwee, apologizing to him. At that moment, her brother arrived to look for her, and Tae-moo quietly watched her brother take her away. The next morning, Kang Tae-moo called the fake Geum-hwee to tell her she was fired, ensuring they would never have to see each other again. Upon hearing this, Hari felt relieved and returned to her normal, exuberant self. On the other hand, Tae-moo was losing his composure and found it increasingly difficult to concentrate on work. At work, Hari received a call from Chairman Kang, requesting to see her so they could have dinner together. She attempted to inform Tae-moo, but he wouldn't pick up. Young Seo accidentally knocked over a lampstand gifted to her by a neighbor. To her shock, she found a hidden camera inside. Realizing the man had been secretly filming her, she decided to report him to the police. However, she encountered this dubious neighbor on her way. Her bag fell, and as she was about to retrieve it, the neighbor snatched it first. He found the lampstand inside and refused to return it, claiming he would fix it for her. As she struggled to retrieve the lamp, Sung-hoon appeared and demanded he return it to Young Seo. Instead, the neighbor fled with the bag. Young Seo urged Sung-hoon to pursue him, explaining that he had been secretly filming her. During the chase, the neighbor disposed of the camera. Eventually, Sung-hoon caught up with him and delivered a decisive kick, leaving him grounded. Meanwhile, Tae-moo arrived at his grandfather's apartment and called Sung-hoon to join them for dinner. Sung-hoon recounted the day's events, mentioning that he was at the police station. Tae-moo turned back toward his car when he saw Shin Hari stepping out of a taxi. Approaching her, she explained that his grandfather had invited her over for dinner. Ignoring her words, he took her hand and asked her to follow him, addressing her by her real name, Shin Hari. Stunned, she quickly withdrew her hand in surprise. President Kang revealed to her that he already knew her identity, but they needed to visit the police station first. At the station, a police officer showed Young Seo and Hari the footage they obtained. Fortunately, the footage was inconclusive. Young Seo had accidentally covered the lampstand with a towel, preventing the capture of any inappropriate video. The police informed them that the accused could only be fined according to the law, which left Hari and Young Seo disappointed. However, President Kang gathered more information about the accused and discovered this wasn't the first time he had committed such acts. With new evidence, President Kang ensured the culprit would face prison time, having underestimated the consequences of his actions. President Kang then confessed to Sung-hoon that he had developed feelings for Shin Ha-ri. He admitted he had been attracted to her from their first meeting and now wished to marry her. Sung-hoon advised him to slow down, but President Kang was determined. He prepared a proposal and invited Ha-ri to a restaurant. Nervously, Ha-ri arrived, only to be further surprised when President Kang escorted her to her seat. She apologized for deceiving him and wouldn't let him speak. Instead, she presented her resignation letter and begged for another chance as an employee. This disrupted President Kang's planned proposal. The next morning, Ha-ri met President Kang to discuss her last presentation. Kang tore up the resignation letter, saying it would be his loss to let go of a valuable employee like her. Grateful, she appreciated his gesture, and Kang mentioned he wanted to collaborate on a new project after work. Ha-ri was thrilled. Refusing to give up on his feelings, President Kang informed Ha-ri they would be going on a business trip to Sokcho for the weekend. Upon arriving in Sokcho, Shin Ha-ri spotted President Kang already waiting for her. For a moment, she became completely distracted by his appearance, inwardly admitting to herself how cool he looked. Quickly snapping back to reality, she composed herself and walked toward him, shifting the conversation to work. Unbeknownst to her, President Kang had previously checked her Instagram and discovered that visiting Sokcho had been one of her longtime wishes. They arrived at a restaurant, only to discover it had already closed for the day. However, unbeknownst to Ha-ri, President Kang had secretly arranged for a mobile hamburger vendor to meet them at the beach. As they strolled along the shore, Ha-ri's eyes lit up when she spotted the hamburger truck, overjoyed by the surprise. They sat at the beach and talked for a long time. Young Seo and Sung-hoon had been avoiding each other for quite some time. However, when they unexpectedly crossed paths at a bar, Sung-hoon asked her to stop avoiding him. During their conversation, Sung-hoon received a call and briefly stepped out. By the time he returned, young Seo had already left. Worried, he went after her, only to see her staggering drunkenly into the street, just as a scooter sped toward her. He caught her just in time, pulling her to safety. Shocked by his sudden kindness, young Seo couldn't hold back any longer. She confessed that she had fallen for him the very first day they met, but he had always kept his distance. Frustrated, she told him that she wanted to stop liking him, so he should let her go. But if he didn't, she warned that after the count of 3, she would cross the line herself. As she finished counting, he still didn't let go. Gathering her courage, she kissed him lightly, only for Sung-hoon to pull her closer, returning the kiss in a far more passionate way. As President Kang and Ha-ri were driving back from the beach, they enjoyed a light-hearted conversation. However, the mood shifted when it suddenly began to rain heavily. Overcome with fear, Tae-moo abruptly asked Ha-ri to get out of the car and find her own way back to Seoul, using an important meeting as an excuse. Without further explanation, he drove off, leaving her stunned by his sudden change in demeanor. After a few minutes of driving, he pulled over and sat in silence. Memories of his parents' accident came rushing back, filling his mind with unbearable grief and terror. The echoes of his own screams from that day haunted him, and he couldn't hold back his tears, breaking down completely. Once the rain ceased, Kang returned to find Ha-ri, but she was nowhere to be found. Her phone was unreachable. Unbeknownst to him, Ha-ri had found refuge in a nearby hotel, upset by Kang's actions. Remembering he had once altered his schedule because he disliked the rain, she began to understand. Realizing she'd left her phone at the hotel reception, Ha-ri went back to retrieve it, where she coincidentally ran into friends visiting for Min-woo's filming. Young Seo had earlier lied about Ha-ri having a rich boyfriend, claiming they were traveling together. Curious, her friends pressed for details. Reluctantly, Ha-ri admitted she was alone. At that moment, someone called her babe. It was President Kang. Walking up to them, he introduced himself as her boyfriend, much to Ha-ri's astonishment and her friends' surprise. Ha-ri was left with no choice but to play along as Kang Tae-moo's girlfriend throughout the trip while her friends were around. As expected, Tae-moo left a good impression on her friends, who talked about him all the time. He effortlessly played the role of a lover and a wealthy boyfriend. Meanwhile, Yu-ra, Lee Min-woo's girlfriend, became envious of Ha-ri for having such a seemingly perfect guy as her boyfriend. She shared her feelings with Min-woo after he returned from a shooting and mentioned how Tae-moo even upgraded their rooms. Min-woo was shocked to learn that her supposed boyfriend was President Kang because he never would have imagined it. The next morning, young Seo woke up in Sung-hoon's room and was immediately filled with frustration. Realizing they had spent the night together, she felt embarrassed and quickly dressed to leave. Sung-hoon arrived just in time, and she lied about going to work on that Sunday, asking him to pretend the previous night never happened. President Kang canceled his schedule to spend more time with Hari and her friends. They decided to go fishing, and during this outing, no one noticed Hari wasn't well until she nearly fainted. Concerned, President Kang took her in his car to the hospital, declining Min-woo's offer to accompany them. After returning from the hospital, President Kang drove Hari home and waited for her to wake. When she did, she apologized for wasting his time, but he insisted she shouldn't apologize because he genuinely wanted to be there for her. As she alighted from the car, President Kang followed and confessed that he had feelings for her. She stood stunned, unable to believe her ears, but he reassured her she could take her time. The next day, Chairman Kang was furious with President Kang for spending the weekend with another woman. President Kang admitted he had broken up with Gyum Hui, which only intensified his grandfather's anger. Chairman Kang left a message for Sung-hoon to set up more blind dates. Sung-hoon advised President Kang to confess his feelings to Shin Hari and introduce her to his grandfather. President Kang replied that he had already confessed but was still waiting for a response. Young Seo had been avoiding Sung-hoon, but unknown to her, he had noticed. He had seen her dart into hiding whenever she spotted him. Without hesitation, Sung-hoon quietly walked over to where she was hiding and told her to stop avoiding him. He assured her that if she wished, he would pretend nothing ever happened between them. But then, in a heartfelt confession, he admitted that he had loved her from the very first moment he saw her at the convenience store. As he turned to walk away, young Seo hurried after him. Just as he was about to close his room door, she caught up to him, pushed him inside, and shut the door behind them. With embarrassment in her voice, she explained that she couldn't remember anything from that night, and it made her feel ashamed. Instead of being upset, Sung-hoon simply laughed and vowed that he would make sure she never forgot again. They began kissing passionately. President Kang couldn't wait any longer and went looking for Shin Hari. Unbeknownst to him, his grandfather was also searching for him, and Sung-hoon arrived to report the situation. Without hesitation, Tae-moo quickly grabbed Hari's hand and ran off with her, leaving Sung-hoon behind to handle Chairman Kang. They kept running until they found a quiet hiding spot. Catching her breath, Hari finally confessed what had been weighing on her. She couldn't accept his proposal because she didn't believe she was the right woman for him. However, Tae-moo refused to accept that. With unwavering determination, he promised that he wouldn't give up and would keep asking her out over and over again until she liked him back. At that moment, Hari could no longer hold back her emotions. She admitted her feelings for him, but still asked him to stop liking her. Then, she turned to leave. Before she could walk away, Tae-moo gently grabbed her by the shoulders, looking deep into her eyes. He reassured her that the things she feared would never happen. They stood there, gazing at each other in silence, emotions swirling between them. Then, Hari took the lead, closing the distance between them and initiating a kiss, their first, long, and passionate kiss. After some minutes, President Kang asked Hari if he should take the kiss as a positive response to his proposition. Surprisingly, she pushed him away, saying it was a mistake, and then ran off. He later called Hari to meet again, this time in his car. He asked if she truly considered the kiss a mistake, but she couldn't provide a definite answer. He insisted she must repay him. First, he suggested she pay for his meal, but she protested that it was too expensive. Then, he offered she repay the kiss with another kiss, but she chose to cover the meal instead. As Tae-moo concentrated on the food, Hari's imagination ran wild, reminding her of the kiss. She quickly excused herself to the restroom to regain her composure. Upon her return, she found him at the piano, which impressed her. When she commented, he confidently stated he was skilled at everything. Unexpectedly, he decided to cover their bill, claiming he wanted her to repay with something else. During the weekend, Tae-moo invited Shin Hari over again. He told her she'd be paying back for the kiss by spending time with him since she couldn't afford expensive meals. They spent a pleasant time together having fun. In the midst of their time together, she received a call that her father was in the hospital, prompting her to rush there with Tae-moo. Concerned, he suggested moving Shin's father to the VIP room. However, when introducing him to her parents, she nervously presented him as Mr. Guy, her teammate, forcing him to reluctantly play along. While Shin Ha-ri and her parents were away, Min-woo was at their home, helping her younger brother at the fried chicken shop. In the middle of it, he accidentally cut himself, and Hari's brother asked him to grab some ointment from her room. While searching for it, Minwoo accidentally stumbled upon an employment contract, the one that President Kang Tae-moo had given Hari. Seeing this, he immediately assumed that their relationship wasn't real. Meanwhile, Tae-moo had just driven Hari close to her house, and the two were lightheartedly chatting in the car. As fate would have it, Minwoo stepped outside at that moment and overheard Tae-moo teasing Hari, asking her to repay him with a kiss. Acting purely on impulse, Minwoo stormed toward them and punched Tae-moo, demanding that he stay away from Hari. Stunned, Tae-moo was ready to fight back, but before things escalated, Hari quickly stepped between them. To defuse the situation, she grabbed Minwoo's hand and walked away with him, leaving Tae-moo standing there, deeply hurt and disappointed. Later at Minwoo's restaurant, he bluntly asked Hari whether Tae-moo had forced her into a relationship. However, Hari dismissed his concern, firmly stating that it was none of his business. She explained that she had only intervened to avoid making headlines if someone had seen them fighting. Still, she made one thing clear: Minwoo must apologize to Tae-moo the next time he saw him. Later, Hari heard from colleagues that Kang Tae-moo was going on a blind date, which unsettled her. Memories of romantic moments with him overwhelmed her, notably how she had left him with Minwoo. Impulsively, she boarded a taxi and called Kang Tae-moo, urging him to leave the date immediately. She confessed her distress at imagining him dining with another woman and declared she was willing to disregard public opinion to focus solely on them. He, amused by her jealousy, revealed he was outside her house, not on a blind date. Both were caught in traffic, emerging from the car at the same moment and running toward each other. They halted upon seeing each other, locking eyes quietly. Tae-moo broke the silence, warning that further approach would mean he wouldn't let her go again. Hari moved closer, initiating another long and more passionate kiss. Early the following morning, Tae-moo called Hari over to a restaurant. There he made her breakfast himself. He noticed that Hari was wearing mismatched shoes in her hurry to meet him. When Tae-moo returned to the office, he asked Sung-hoon to get some women's heels for his girlfriend. Sung-hoon began to suspect that Hari had accepted Tae-moo's proposal. The heels were delivered to Hari in her office, and the delivery man mentioned that her boyfriend had sent them to her, making her colleagues curious. She quickly lied, saying that they were sent by her friend, Young Seo. Yu-ra proposed to Minwoo, suggesting that it was time for them to get married, but she was disappointed when he said he wasn't ready. Ms. Kim somehow discovered that Ms. Yo and Mr. Gai-bin were dating, and they did not deny it. President Kang Tae-moo went on an outing with Food Production Team 1, and the team had a happy moment with him. Meanwhile, Ms. Kim got drunk, so they assumed she was not in her right senses. Tae-moo held hands with Hari underneath the table, and when Ms. Kim bent down to pick up her phone, she saw them. She also revealed that Ms. Yo and Mr. Gai-bin were dating in front of Tae-moo, but no one believed her, as she was drunk. Soon everyone left. Ms. Yo, Mr. Gai-bin, and Ms. Kim left together, while Hari and Tae-moo stayed behind and decided to take a stroll. Unbeknownst to them, Chairman Kang was watching from afar. He then called out to Tae-moo. Chairman Kang alighted from the car and approached them, seething with anger. Hari greeted him, but he ignored her, demanding to know why they were alone so late at night. Kang Tae-moo wanted to respond, but Chairman Kang insisted that Hari speak. Fortunately, Ms. Yo and the others returned and explained to Chairman Kang that they had a team dinner with Tae-moo to commend their hard work. Ms. Kim had forgotten her phone, which prompted their return. Hari, however, left immediately. The next day, Young Seo and Hari planned to buy dumplings when they spotted Tae-moo and Sung-hoon heading out as well. Without hesitation, Young Seo and Hari jumped into a taxi to follow them. They discovered Tae-moo and Sung-hoon at an orphanage and were surprised by the revelation. Sung-hoon introduced Young Seo to his mother, as their first meeting had been unexpectedly ruined. Sung-hoon had been an orphan and raised in the orphanage before Tae-moo's parents sponsored him during middle school. They spent joyful moments with the kids at the orphanage. Later, they sat down to chat, but Hari got a call from her brother, Ha-min, prompting their return to her home. Customers arrived looking for chicken, and everyone pitched in to help. Over dinner, Hari accidentally spilled drinks on Tae-moo's shirt, prompting her to guide him to her brother's room to change. Just then, her parents returned home unexpectedly. Young Seo introduced Sung-hoon to Hari's father. She rushed to the room's window to warn Hari that their parents were back, so she should avoid emerging with Tae-moo. She stalled her mother from entering through the back door by inventively introducing Sung-hoon to her. Despite this, Hari managed to escort Tae-moo out, and they strolled toward his car. Tae-moo expressed his desire to formally introduce himself to her parents, unlike Sung-hoon. While conversing, Ha-min approached, causing them to hide. But he soon spotted them. Tae-moo then introduced himself as Hari's boyfriend and president of Go Food. Ha-min was delighted to meet him, instantly acknowledging him as his brother-in-law. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to young Seo, her father hired someone to monitor her, capturing pictures with Sung-hoon and delivering them with Sung-hoon's background. Her father was disappointed, expecting her to be with Tae-moo instead of Sung-hoon. Min-woo stopped by Hari's restaurant, bringing abalones as a gift. Informed that she was out with Yu-ra for drinks, he headed there. Yu-ra appeared woeful and recounted how, 7 years ago, Hari confessed her love for Min-woo, prompting her to date him out of spite. Yu-ra implored Hari to let go of Min-woo, suspecting he hesitated to marry her because of lingering feelings for Hari. She challenged Hari for not revealing that Yu-ra dated another man during her study abroad, a revelation that could have ended their relationship. Hari admitted it was cruel, despite regretting her silence now. Unbeknownst to them, Min-woo eavesdropped on everything. Ignoring him, Hari walked out, but Min-woo pursued her, grabbing her arm. She admonished him, insisting he apologize to Yu-ra for causing her distress. Shin Ha-ri had overheard staff discussing the accident involving Kang Tae-moo's parents, witnessed by him as a child, explaining his aversion to driving in the rain. Determined to help him confront this fear, Ha-ri spent time with him whenever it rained. Tae-moo noticed and expressed his gratitude. Ha-ri mentioned to Tae-moo that she wanted to meet young Seo, relieving him from offering her a ride. Unbeknownst to Tae-moo, his grandfather, Chairman Kang, summoned Ha-ri to question her intentions with his grandson after receiving a secret report about them. While driving home, Tae-moo got urgent news, prompting a hasty return towards Ha-ri, deeply worried when she didn't answer calls. This distraction led to an accident. Meanwhile, Chairman Kang demanded Ha-ri end her relationship with Tae-moo, not permitting her to speak. Interrupting him, a call conveyed Tae-moo's name, startling him. Flashback to when Ha-ri was narrating everything that happened between her and Kang Tae-moo to Chairman Kang was revealed. Unfortunately, he didn't allow her to finish before concluding that there was nothing between them. As for the call he received, he hurried out of the restaurant, nearly falling, but she guided him. He left in his car while she boarded a taxi to follow him, worried because he mentioned Kang's name during the call. He arrived at the hospital, with Shin Ha-ri following him. She called him grandfather, but he cautioned her not to. Just then, Kang Tae-moo showed up with his left hand bandaged. Seeing the situation wasn't too bad, Ha-ri wanted to leave, but Tae-moo held her back and confessed that they weren't in a fake relationship, and he loved her. As Ha-ri returned home with young Seo driving her back, it began to rain. She became worried and told young Seo she needed to return to the hospital. She found Chairman Kang still there. He left without saying a word, and Sung-hoon asked her to enter Tae-moo's room, where she found him watching the rain through the window. He revealed his parents' accident happened because of him. Flashback to when his parents were alive and Kang Tae-moo, still a kid, was revealed. They were going out, and young Tae-moo insisted they go to an amusement park with him. They promised they'd be back soon. On their way back, it was raining, and Tae-moo on the phone told his mom to hurry back. Hearing that, his father increased the car's speed and soon lost control. That was how their car somersaulted, and they both died instantly. Back in the present, Tae-moo complained he never sees his parents' faces in his dreams, only the back of their heads, thinking they resented him. But Ha-ri disagreed, telling him his parents loved him and wanted him to be happier than anyone else, then giving him a hug. The following morning, young Seo returned Ha-ri's phone, which she had forgotten in the car the previous day. When Ha-ri entered the car, young Seo asked her to check her phone. She saw Yu-ra had uploaded on the internet that she had her eyes on 2 men at the same time, Kang Tae-moo and Lee Min-woo. At work, everyone else talked down on Shin Ha-ri, but Mr. Gai-bin stood up for her, making her feel touched. Chairman Kang visited Tae-moo at the hospital and informed him he wanted him to work at the company's American branch, and after 2 years, if he didn't change his mind, he would approve of them. Tae-moo said no, unwilling to be away from Shin Ha-ri anymore, deciding he would marry her to avoid gossip. Later, young Seo's father came to her house and found her with Sung-hoon. He revealed he knew about their relationship and proposed they have dinner together that night. At work, Shin Ha-ri was informed that Chairman Kang wanted to see her, making her colleagues curious. Chairman Kang, however, told her he wanted her to go to the factory in Daejeon until the situation settled, and if she was unhappy with it, she should just resign. At the hospital, Tae-moo overheard nurses talking about the news of Ha-ri two-timing him. He blamed Sung-hoon for not telling him earlier, leaving Ha-ri to suffer alone. He decided to return to his office, even though Sung-hoon tried to stop him. Tae-moo met with his grandfather, and Chairman Kang told him what he said to Ha-ri. Tae-moo said he would rather resign than let go of her. Then he went looking for her. Young-seo and her boyfriend met with her father, who surprisingly approved of their relationship. He also asked her to come back home. On their way home, Sung-hoon proposed to Young-seo. After much searching, Tae-moo found Ha-ri and hugged her passionately in relief. Afterward, they made love to each other, affirming their feelings. Surprisingly, Young-seo's father contacted Sung-hoon and secretly asked him to break up with his daughter. Unknown to him, Young-seo overheard the conversation. Ha-ri's parents saw her with Kang Tae-moo that morning. Even though she had told them she was out with Young-seo, her mother was furious that she lied. However, Tae-moo managed to speak with them, revealing how much he loved their daughter. Despite their nerves, her parents approved of the relationship, especially her father. They later dined together and celebrated Young-seo's birthday, with both Young-seo and Sung-hoon present. Seeing that Ha-ri's father was still nervous, Tae-moo decided to talk with him, assuring him that he would always stand by Ha-ri's side. Min-woo also visited Ha-ri to inform her that he had closed his restaurant and planned to go to Europe. He mentioned he had broken up with Yura, who sent her apology to Ha-ri, unable to face her directly. Young-seo submitted her resignation letter to her father, asserting her independence and confidence in managing on her own. While at work, Tae-moo received a call that his grandfather had collapsed and was in the hospital. In a hurry to leave, he realized the caller was lying, trying to manipulate him into breaking up with Ha-ri. Ha-ri, rather than Tae-moo, showed up at the hospital, claiming he had an important meeting and had sent her to deliver clothes and books. It was her plan to get close to Chairman Kang, hoping he might like her again, as he once thought highly of Gum-hui. Unfortunately, Ha-ri's plan didn't succeed, as Chairman Kang remained distant. It turned out Chairman Kang was genuinely ill. There was a problem with a stent in his heart vessel, and there was no treatment available in Korea. Tae-moo decided to take his grandfather to the United States for treatment. He wanted Ha-ri to accompany them, but she refused, stating that Chairman Kang hadn't yet approved of her, leading Tae-moo to go alone. 1 year later, the company experienced substantial profits. Mr. Gaibin had been promoted to head of Team 4 in food product development and had married Ms. Yeo. Young-seo was now running her own company, with Sung-hoon's full support during his 1-year leave. Tae-moo, still in the States, managed his grandfather's treatment and business affairs effectively. Though always busy, he stayed in contact with his girlfriend, Ha-ri. One morning, Ha-ri's brother worriedly saw rumors online suggesting Tae-moo was involved romantically with a cellist named Baek Yoon-seo in the States. Ha-ri decided to take a vacation in the States. She was both shocked and thrilled when she discovered that Tae-moo was in the car trunk that greeted her. He explained that the scandal was fake news, which he only found out about on the plane. The two lovers reunited joyfully. His grandfather was scheduled to return to Korea the following week, but Tae-moo had arrived earlier to see Ha-ri. Curiously, she asked if his grandfather had approved their relationship. In response, Tae-moo produced a case, saying his grandfather instructed him never to return if she didn't accept what it contained. When he opened it, there was a ring. Kang Tae-moo proposed to Shin Ha-ri, and she cheerfully accepted the ring. If you enjoyed this recap, hit that like button and subscribe for more. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and see you next time.